this meeting to order, and let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, and if you want to sign up for public comment, Vicky's got the sheet over there. If not, we'll jump right into our commission reports. Commissioner Moore.
Okay, Tuesday I have a Housing Coalition Executive Board meeting. On Wednesday, my regular briefings. On Thursday, Foundation for Hope. And on Friday, a reminder, celebration is Friday right here at the Civic Center, 5:30. Oh, sorry, 6 o'clock. Everybody come, spend money, support Sound Learning. That's it.
All right, thanks. For my week, I have a left board meeting tomorrow. Left boarding, it sounds like it could be a terroristic.
It does, yeah.
And then Friday, I will be at the Spelling Bee spending some money. Not a whole lot this year. And then as part of my report too, I wanted to kind of mention a couple of things that occurred last week. Of course, everybody knows what the big event was with the Simpson announcement. Another thing that happened last week was the school board and the hospital board came together on an agreement to operate the high school pool for another 5 years. And that was a really cool thing because I've been involved with that as has Tracy and I know Kathy in the audience has too, that it really demonstrated what we can do as a community. If people get riled up enough and it's something that everybody wants to keep and is dear to our heart. And it was really nice to see that, especially with the announcement this week of losing a major employer here. And as part of that too, all of us on the commission and Dave has been in contact with a number of people on the state and federal level. So the city is involved in ongoing events with that. I mean, there's more yet to come, but I know Dave has been contacted from a federal level asking what they can do. And I know that there's certain things will be triggered for helping retraining and employment benefits and things such as that. So the final part of this is that this week is National Small Business Week. So that ties in with what I want to say is that, you know, one of the things we can keep doing is supporting small businesses because there's a ripple effect when you lose hundreds of jobs, is that you lose hundreds of jobs in the community. So it's even more important, I think, to get out and support as much as we can restaurants and the like in the community. So it was kind of a big week for Shelton with you know, the swimming pool thing, which I think was a pretty momentous event. So I'm looking forward to pulling that together for the next few years. Okay, that's enough for me. Any general public comment? Anybody signed up yet? None? Okay, we'll move right into the consent agenda then. Are you ready for that? I
am.
Okay, Mary Ann, or I'm sorry, Leslie Ann. I know another Mary Ann too. So.
Consent agenda. Vouchers numbered 85711 through 85818 in the amount of $187,649.21. Commission meeting minutes from business meeting of April 20th, 2015. Study session of April 27th, 2015. Forest management plan. Excuse me. 2015-2016 asphalt contracts. Award to Granite Construction Company and Pyramid Materials Incorporated. Authorize the mayor to sign when returned from contractors and city administrator to make any necessary budget modifications.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as read.
And I second that. Any further questions, comments?
No.
Hearing that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda passes. Next on the agenda is old business. There is none. New business. Item number 1, Basin 3 final design amendment from City Engineer Mike Michael.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioner. Pretty short and sweet. Most of our funding packages, when we get all done, we have to reshuffle the agreement to show what we actually spent and final interest rates and payment schedules and the like. That's essentially what we have in front of you this evening. This is the DOE State Revolving Fund Loan for Design portion of Basin 3. As you know, we finished up that design last fall, and so this is the final documents to finalize that and get our payment plan in place for repayment of that loan. We spent real close to the final amount with administrative charges. We used the entire original loan. There's an additional interest accrued over the time of the design of a little over $19,000, as you can see in the briefing report. And our first payment of $15,000 will be due in September of this year.
Okay. So this was for the design only?
That's correct.
Now, I know that we're still hoping for some additional funding for the actual construction. How long is the design approved for?
The design, the way we structured it, is actually, has a fairly long shelf life. We didn't do the specifications, the contract language portion of it. We'll have to do a little bit of probably internal administrative type work to wrap up that portion of the bid package already. But these drawings are probably good for 3 to 5 years with as little as our sewer details have changed every time that I've been.
Okay, so if needed, we can fine tune the design as we're under construction?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's pretty straightforward. I have no questions, and more from Commissioner Moore. Okay, then staff recommends that we place this on the consent agenda for next week. All right, the next item, also from Mike Michael, is the Lake Boulevard Road Restoration Water Main Design Contract.
Oops. That should actually say sewer main in the heading there. I didn't catch that when I was reviewing that last week.
Oh, yeah.
We already approved a
as I
water
read
main
through it, it
design
talked
several
about
weeks
sewer,
ago.
yeah.
So this is the next piece. As we've been moving forward, we've been looking to the utilities for any of their needs. Two that were identified were some upgrades to the water system that's under Lake Boulevard, as well as extension of sewer to be able to serve in the future an area out there off of Wyoming and one of the older plats that is currently unserviced. As we've looked through the money, we still believe that there's money there. There's some questions with finance. We're still trying to work out some discrepancies between their numbers and mine. But in the interim, we believe it makes sense to move forward with the design and get that portion done. SCJ, Shea Car Jewel Alliance, is getting close to wrapping up the design. In fact, we are looking at being in a position to issue the advertisement on the 21st. And so to facilitate getting this into the original bid and not have to do it as a change order or some other contract method, we're asking the commission to approve $11,374 out of the sewer utility capital funds for the design of a sewer main extension from approximately the 2nd Street right-of-way on Lake Boulevard to the end of the project limits at the city limits.
You're only going to go to California with it? Or-
California is our goal. We're going to design it to the end of the project, which is there's actually an unopened right-of-way about 50 feet short of the city limits there. That's the planned stopping point for the design. Construction may only go to California depending on actual costs and budget available.
Questions, comments?
No, I thought you were going to say something else.
I'm still thinking.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And I do want to just confirm that also in the plan includes the stub outs for the adjacent lot.
Yes, yeah, it's kind of become standard practice anytime we're doing sewer work, whether it be the I&I projects or like this case, an extension. We pretty much going to the edge of right-of-way. In some cases, like at some of the intersection, we'll probably go even beyond the edge of the Lake Boulevard right-of-way into like the California right-of-way slightly to make sure we got a good location for somebody else to pick up from later.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So, I understand that the reason that we have decided to look at this is that we do not want to put new pavement down and then have someone want to connect to sewer and have to dig up the new pavement again. For the lots that aren't currently served by sewer but are behind and away from the main line there, are they, I guess I don't understand how that works. Are they designed individually then? Like if someone decided to do a development back behind, then there would be a sewer extension that would hook into
Yes.
the main line, and then there would be stub outs from
Correct.
there?
The larger lots along there, we're putting large size stubs, probably 8-inch main stubs up to those larger parcels, and then that would be carried into a smaller branch system for a future short plat or plat, whatever might go in those larger parcels in there.
Okay. That was all my questions.
So, so this is just for the design?
This is
No
just-
commitments?
Correct.
Okay. And this will be good for, well, till we decide to do the project or not?
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, the pretty straightforward design. Really what we're having them do is get what needs to be built on paper so that at some point we can issue a bid for it. It's a very basic gravity main running from Second uphill to approximately California or a little bit further.
I still have some questions, but I'm okay with going ahead with the design. I think that's a smart thing to do, just to have it. Mr. Clark?
I might just want to we're planning on putting this Lake Boulevard project out on the street for bidding next month. Well, actually, it's this month now, middle of the month. And our plan is to include this work, this design, in those drawing packages. We'll have it as an alternate, I believe, in the way the bidding will come in. So it's an alternate that then the commission can either accept or not accept whether or not we move forward with construction. So you'll get another chance to look at it at the time we bring back, when we have a contractor, when we have price tags on what this stuff costs and what the limits we want to extend it to, and that will be available for us to make that decision, or you to make that decision down the road when we open those bids.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, once again, I think we both concur to go ahead and put this on the next week's agenda, consent agenda, to move ahead with the design for that. Thank you. Last item under new business is Mr. Greg Clark on the LED streetlights program.
Yes, this is before the commission tonight to look at basically a sole source purchase of these LED streetlights. We've been working closely with PUD 3. They did an evaluation of the lights in our town. As you know, they're moving forward with replacing a lot of the arterial sections of streetlights with new LEDs for cost-saving reasons. And they looked at some of the lights in 6 of our intersections. We have 19 lights that need to be changed out for our energy savings. And these 19 lights, it was estimated and we brought this through the budget process, roughly around $9,200, $9,300 to change out these lights to get them to LED. And using these lights that are consistent with their evaluation and through their program, we can see roughly $1,000 in annual utility savings. So it'll just take a few years to pay for these in energy costs. And it's the green thing to do. These things last a really long time compared to the existing lights out there. We should have better lighting, they're direct lighting, all the reasons. But we wanted to go with the same style and type of lighting that they evaluated for their program. And so that's why this is a sole source, and we needed to bring sole source to you because it's over the threshold that Dave can sign for sole source. So that's why it's before you tonight.
Which lights are these?
Oh, they're American Electric.
No. I meant, where do these lights go?
They will go in our signal cabinets for our signalized intersections. These are the lights that are basically behind our meter that we pay the electric bill on for our street light. And these are the meter, I mean, these are lights at the intersection that are fed through the meter that we have at the controller. So that's why we're kind of on the hook to put them in, is because they're behind our meter.
Okay, I was just wanting to make sure that we weren't going to change out the lights along Railroad with the, you know, the old-fashioned lights. Those are not going to be LED, correct?
You're talking about the ornamental decorative lights? No, these are
Okay.
your standard intersection Cobra head, you know, at the
Okay.
intersection lighting. And I'm not, there's different locations, and I think actually the LED is a fixture that sometimes the mast arm and stuff can be salvaged, and they just put a new head on the old mast arm. They've looked at each one of these and did a cost estimate on each one of them, and so I think we're good.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that the Railroad Avenue lights weren't going to be changed. Okay,
We wouldn't do that,
okay.
not without telling you anyway.
Well, yeah, would probably be a good idea.
Okay, yeah, I have no questions. I think this is pretty standard and straightforward, and I agree with it. So
Yes.
it sounds like we both concur, and we'll place this also on the consent agenda for May 11th. That concludes new business, and now we're at item G, administration report. And I think Greg's going to take this on the Transportation Benefit District.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioner Moore. This, you know, we've looked at several times. We just need to, I guess, roll into the next phase of getting this Transportation Benefit District kind of operational, so to speak. As you know, we started this back in February. I got before me the old briefing requests, and it was on the agenda February 27th, old business March 2nd, public hearing March 16th. Long story is we actually, towards the end of March, approved the the forming of the Transportation Benefit District. And so what the next stages of this, and I'm just going to go through this fact sheet that we put together in Public Works that kind of gives you a lot of good information about what the district is. So I'm just going to kind of go through this quickly. I handed one out to the public. I've got a few more up here, and they're available should anybody want them. But you know, a transportation benefit district is really an independent taxing district. Its sole purpose is for the repairing, constructing, improving, preserving, and the funding of transportation improvements within the district that the board, the TBD board will want to have done. And in 2007, the RCWs were amended to allow local jurisdictions like ours to create these. In talking to the state, there's 48 actual transportation districts currently in Washington State. And I don't know if that number includes ours, but maybe we're number 49, but that's the same.
49 would be Tumwater, just passed it.
Okay, that'd be Tumwater. I'm glad we're not 49, because that has something to do with San Francisco, and I don't want to go there. I wouldn't want to be associated with 49ers. But in short here, which is now getting longer, why does the city need a TBD? Well, you know, our streets are really the vital connectors between all the businesses, people drive and walk and everything through our city on our streets, and we need as the city to take care of these. And it's really all modes of transportation can utilize the money that will be collected for the Transportation Benefit District. And it seems like the new grant rules become more and more specific in that the cities need to take care of themselves to some degree. That, yeah, there's going to be grant money out there, but they want you to do as much as you can within your own jurisdiction to take care of yourself. And this just shows, you know, good promise for us to do that. We have the TIB, Transportation Improvement Board. They have these preservation projects that come available. Well, if your street isn't within a certain pavement condition index, if it's below that, they won't even fund you. So we need to get our streets to a higher level, not only for drivability, but to actually compete for good transportation preservation dollars. For residential streets, there really aren't any state programs to take care of residential streets. Either the property owners need to do it through forming their own improvement, or we need to do it from our city crews, and this would be certainly a source of money that would allow us to do that. It can be used, like I say, for any of the modes of transportation that we would want to do it, either match money or do it internal with staff, or put projects out for bid like Lake Boulevard. If the commissioners felt that this was where they wanted to spend some of this transportation benefit district dollars, they could do that. We annually go through a 6-year program process to look at where we prioritize our dollars. The commissioners do. Staff brings forward recommendations, and we will track these particular funds so that you can make selections on where you want to use those within the benefit district. The city has approximately 150 miles, lane miles of streets, and we need to take care of them. And we still have some gravel streets that could use actually some all-weather surface. In the handout there on page 2, the options for us, and this is really one of those choices that the benefit district needs to make a decision on, is how do we want to move forward for funding? And there's really, the choices I've listed out there in the funding options. On the left-hand column, for voter approval, we as a local jurisdiction can take to the vote of the people, which would be inside our city limits, the people voting, a 0.2% sales tax. So for every $100 spent on sales tax, we would get about 20 cents towards roadway improvements. And that, based on our estimates, is approximately about $400,000 a year would be brought to the transportation benefit district to be programmed for those improvements, those projects that we find the most prioritized and high in nature. There's a way you can tap into property taxes. That's, again, something that has to go to the vote of the people. And then any vehicle license fee above $20, and you can go up to $100, can be done with a vote. And then there's the ability to have vehicle tolls. So if you wanted, as a benefit district, to say build a bridge or something, you could do that and create a toll for that particular bridge. But the ones that we're looking at, it sounds like, is either the sales tax option, which, like I say, is 0.2% sales tax would be added. The other, on the not required to go to the voters, is just using the $20 vehicle license fee. So we've contacted the Department of Licensing. There's about 6,000 vehicles in our town that are registered and licensed, and annually they would be asked to pay $20 extra that would go into this, and it would be collected through the Department of Licensing, and then they'd charge a 1% administration fee, but that would then come back to us as an annual, actually a monthly revenue of about $11,000 and some odd, which totals up roughly about $130,000 for the year. And it would take about 6 months before those revenues would start coming in from the day the Transportation Improvement Board makes a decision on, if that was a decision they made that they wanted to collect the vehicle license fee, it would take about 6 months to get it rolling in here. But, and then there's the ability to also, without the vote of the people, the commission could impact fees on commercial or industrial buildings, and in talking with the commissioners, it doesn't appear that is something you want to do. So really, the choice appears within the Transportation Improvement Board right now that it's either choosing to move forward with the sales tax effort, which means going to the vote of the people, and we maybe try to get on the November ballot if at all possible, and I think that's doable, or the choice of the vehicle license fee for up to $20. So just kind of more information here. It has to be maintained in a separate fund, so within finances, this money comes in from either sales tax or from the Department of Licensing. It would be tracked in a separate fund, and the next iterations that need to happen that the Transportation Improvement Board, not the Transportation Improvement Board, the Transportation Benefit District Board would need to make. We need to have an interlocal agreement between the benefit district and the city of Shelton, an interlocal agreement, and that's kind of a boilerplate one. The next thing is that we need to create some bylaws, so to speak, as to how that particular board would run and the things that you would find important to do, and we're going to bring you a draft next week of that. And then the board needs to select a chairperson to run the meetings, to head up the Transportation Benefit District. And then we need to do a resolution as to what funding option you want to do. So those are the three things that we need to do. If you pick the vehicle license fee, one more step is we need to enter into an interlocal agreement with Department of Licensing to administer that through their organization. The board, as you know, is made up of the city commissioners, and then how citizens get involved, it's an open meeting, similar to our park board meeting. It's usually going to be before one of our commissioner meetings. They're all open for the public to come in and listen to the discussions and voice issues and concerns they may have, like the park board meetings. The benefit district can last as long as there are projects, so there's no real sunset for that. It really can run its course as long as there's projects that the commission wants to do, the Transportation and Policy Board wants to do. They can just carry it forward. We already talked about the sales tax. However, the sales tax has one thing, that it has to be taken back out to the vote of the people every 10 years. So the tax is only good for 10 years, and then you'd have to re-up it if you wanted to continue forward with the taxing. So I think that's the extent of my administration report. Happy to answer any questions you may have, and like I say, next week our hope is, Dave has kind of asked me to put together a packet to cover those three things, and I'm going to send it through Kathleen, our city attorney, to have her look over the bylaws and that information. But hopefully we'll make some decisions next week and move forward. If we want to move for the sales tax, the sooner the better, to get in the things that need to get done to get it on the ballot. So with that, I'll quit talking.
So if the 2% sales tax, 0.2%.
2/10, yes.
Sales tax were to be approved in November, is that something that would start building immediately, or is there also a 6 months delay on that?
I talked to a lady at the state, Jennifer Dana, and that wasn't exactly her specific, and we need to check this out. This is just what I heard from her, is that typically it's about a quarter, about 4 months delay from the time it would go, be passed in November if the voters said, yes, we want to do it. Because they do some kind of a quarterly, first quarter of the next year, they put the sales tax amounts into RCW that then goes out and everybody collects based on that. So it would probably be April, she said, and before we would start seeing revenues from the sales tax coming in. But I'll find out more this week and give a report next week.
Well, that was just kind of a curiosity question.
Yeah.
So could you please remind me, did we only have $60,000 last year to pave streets?
30,000, wasn't it?
Well, we borrowed, remember, REIT money
From the year
from this year to pave Turner last year because we were a little short on Turner. We wanted to take it all the way down to almost First Street there and take it all the way to the top of the hill. So we needed more money, and we borrowed ahead against REIT money. So this year, and then we delayed 2 streets. I think it was Monroe and H Street that we delayed, that the neighborhood out there wanted to move forward. They wanted their street paved, and we told them we were going to pave it, and then we had to steal the money to do Turner. And in fact, that's a touch I'm going to do tonight, is we need to, I think, entertain the idea of bringing REIT money that we're collecting this year to make whole the promise this year for paving of Monroe and 8th Street, if it's the commission's desire to do that. We could borrow ahead like we did for Turner, we could borrow ahead in it, and I think it's like $18,000 for both streets, so it's not like we're borrowing ahead too much. I think in REIT, typically, we're getting about $70,000 a year Kathy also has put some of REIT money on Lake Boulevard, so we need to talk about it internally, but that would be my hope, and I think, Tracy, that was one of your ideas too, was to, bring these neighborhoods who we've been promising for 2 years to do
Yes.
their streets, and it's kind of like we should do it, so.
Yes. I think that what that illustrates, though, is the fact that our current funding is not sustainable, and we're not getting nearly the work done that we need to do. It's really a difficult time with the Simpson News to say we're considering running a sales tax increase. But I think that the public wants the streets fixed, and this is an equitable way for the county residents, for everybody who uses our streets to help pay for the improvements. So I'm leaning totally towards running the 0.2% sales tax increase. And I think that will bring us up to what people are paying for a sales tax if they go into Olympia or Thurston County. I know that we're a little bit behind what their sales tax is, and so I think it can be a real win-win for our community if we shop locally, if we pass a sales tax increase and keep the money here. So that's my comment.
My question is, so next week, you're going to bring to us all these items, an interlocal agreement, the resolution for organization, and the resolution to approve one of the funding sources?
That's my plan.
And ready to vote if we
If-
are ready to move on with it?
Yes, I'm hoping that's the case, because there's several of these documents that are been done by other transportation districts. So we're gonna just kind of borrow some of their boilerplate language, draft one for us, and then run it by Kathleen, and I believe we'll be ready next week on the 11th to have you take a look at those and make the decisions you want to on those elements.
Okay, that was my only question or comment.
Okay.
And to specifically answer your question before, yeah, my transportation budget this year is $34,000.
That's what I thought, that's all we had this year to spend, was 30 grand.
I can hardly fill potholes with it.
It's,
You know,
that's all it is pothole repair.
yeah. With as many lane miles as we have, we should be close to, $800 to $1 million a year to put into our infrastructure to maintain it. And by not maintaining it, it's like not painting your house or not, putting a roof on your house. Every year, you just go further and further down, and it's gonna cost you more to bring it back than if you'd have done something to it. So if we can get $400,000, we'll be about halfway to where we should be, but it's a heck of a lot further down the road in the projects we can do and the streets we can, spend money on. I look at Railroad Avenue now. My gosh, that thing from the railroad tracks to about, I guess it's right about 8th, is just really blowing up. And we need some money to go after grant money to try and fix that thing.
Absolutely.
And, so anyway,
Well, that seems to be like, as long as I've been involved in city things, that seems to have been the number one complaint, is always our streets. And so I'm really confident that people want their streets fixed and maintained, and we'll see the wisdom in whichever option we choose here.
Okay,
good.
looking forward to that next week then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, next on the agenda is an opportunity for general public comment, and I see we have some takers there. Forrest Cooper is first. Mr. Cooper.
Thank you very much, Commission. Forrest Cooper, 409 West Railroad and 807 South 14th. I'm going to comment on two things that were brought up tonight that I think are really great. The first one, which was the most recent, is the Transportation Benefit District. I think you're moving in the right direction. I'm more in support of the sales tax increase. I think that's a way to have everybody contribute in a smaller way than having people feel like every time they go to get their vehicle renewed, oh man, the city's taking money from me again. You know, I think that's a more logical way to go, is to have that sales tax increase. I do wonder though, if we look at the numbers here, you talk about a $20 vehicle deal would generate about $130,000 a year, and then the 0.2% would do $400,000. It's like 3 times the amount. Is there any consideration of doing maybe a 0.1% and generate still more than you would do with the $20 vehicle tabs, and then maybe a little bit further down the road do another 0.1%? Might be a consideration, since it is still an increase over the vehicle tab deal. I also think that it's really cool to do that, the sales tax, because your funds can increase based on our local economy doing better. Whereas the vehicle tabs, they're not going to fluctuate all that much unless we have people move it in. And as we saw with the downtown visioning process, a lot of the professionals that came in and spoke to us gave us information regarding to the millennials and their lack of vehicles and stuff like that. If we're starting to look at where it's going and how people are starting to live, they're starting to drive less. They're starting to have less cars. So I would be more in favor of a sales tax increase. I think you're on the right direction there. Figure out how to make it work the best. And also, I wanted to bring up the LED lights. Awesome. You guys are doing that just right. Work with the PUD, who has worked with a single company. The savings that they can get by working with their companies on those volume orders, it's awesome compared to if the city went out and directly purchased from a supplier. So good job on that. It's funny because just last week I was excited to see this on here, because I was just about to bring it up, because I've noticed that the intersection by the library and the intersection on 4th by the inn, the lights never work. So many times at night it's so dark through there, and there's one like trying to start up and then it'll go out. It'll start up and go out. And for this to be on here so soon with doing the other change-outs, really good. So kudos to that. I think that's a really, really good move. It's good to see those going up. Also, I do know that the ones on 7th and Railroad, those have a square bracket mounting situation up there. There might be some custom bracketry that you guys might have to do for that. I encourage you to keep some of that stuff local. Look at some of our fab shops that are here in town. We got a great one at the other end of Railroad. Go talk to the Fraser guys down there and see what they can do for you. So once again, nice job, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Forrest. Marilyn Vogler.
Hello, Marilyn Vogler, 420 East Poplar. And I just have a question brought up about the Transportation Benefit District. The report you gave us mentioned the 6-year transportation plan. And I'm wondering if we're bound to use the money for that plan, because when Forterra was here, they talked about a lot of really innovative redesign of streets, crosswalks, raised crosswalks, changing the lanes on Railroad. And I'm wondering if the benefit district dollars can be used for that kind of thing that is not in our transportation plan. Just a question, no comments. I'm hoping it can be.
And all those questions are great, and I think they can be answered down the road, but we need to get on with forming this and getting it set up so we can have public input and the board can start narrowing in on projects once we establish something where we can get money. But all good ideas. So I look forward to establishing it and moving forward with a choice.
And I do have a final comment, if I could.
Yep.
I would be much more inclined to support either a sales tax or a tag fee if I knew it was going to the Forterra plan rather than just potholes.
Greg?
Happy to respond to a couple of questions here. Forrest Cooper asked about, whether or not you have to go with a 0.2%. it's up to a .2. So should the commissioners decide to do something less, that's just the maximum, is the 0.2%, which would generate the 400,000. Again, it'd be awesome to get the 400,000 just because we're playing catch-up here and we have a lot of need. With regard to, Marilyn, your question, the money, the 6-year program is just a planning document where we, the commissioners, can direct the money to be spent. And then actually, the benefit district, we would do an annual report telling you where we did spend the dollars and the dollar amounts that we spent. I'm guessing that the Forterra-related discussions will bring forward projects that want to be done by the commissioners, and those would be listed in there, or it would be, you know, some kind of a descriptor that multiple types of things that were identified through the Forterra, you know, related plan. Similar, I don't think we'll probably list in the 6-year program every street that actually gets overlaid or whatever. It would just be an overlay program, but it would have a dollar amount associated with it, and then annually we'd give you feedback as to the dollars that were spent, whether it was REIT money that was spent on that street, or transportation benefit dollars, or sales tax, or whatever the one-time money that comes into that. So the 6-year program is just kind of an annual, it's done annually. It looks 6 years ahead as to what you're going to spend your money on, and then annually, like I say, we'd have a report. So,
Just an add-on to that, it's actually a state requirement that we have that 6-year program and review it annually. So any projects that would come out of any planning effort, the Forterra effort or others that we would want to take advantage of grant dollars on, have to be listed in that annual update as well. So.
Okay, thanks, guys. Next up is administration final touches.
Touches.
we do have a couple touches. One is, as I mentioned, the mind fade, and I didn't write it down. While I'm thinking of that, I'll be talking of this. I have a verbal touch. I need to bring forth a budget modification for the entertainment or decision of the commission regarding sidewalks. In the budget process, we approved $10,000 to do concrete sidewalks and $10,000 to do asphalt sidewalks. There's some problems with our top priorities in the asphalt category, and we have a lot of concrete sidewalk issues. So what I was hoping, and the touch will come forward, or the briefing report next week, that we would like to move the monies from asphalt this year to 100% concrete. So instead of being 10,000 in asphalt, 10,000 in concrete, it would be 20,000 in concrete. So you can think about that for next week.
Why did we, I forget now, why did we choose to do 10 in each?
Good question. It was just kind of how we thought we would do it, because we have several miles of both types of sidewalk, and we just kind of do a little bit of both. But the two top priorities, sidewalks and asphalt, one of them is where the young man got killed on the skateboard, and we've been told by litigation or by
Let's just not talk about that.
Okay, very good. We're not going to do that one. And the other is up with the forest management plan on Brockdale. We need to do some tree management, and I think the management needs to happen before the asphalt work is done. So, and what was the other one?
You were going to talk about the REIT money.
Yes, the REIT money. So I will be touching on that and briefing next week on how borrowing ahead to this year so we can do H and Monroe. Correct.
Okay, anything else? Thank you.
Okay, that concludes the meeting. The next meeting will be May 11th at 2 o'clock right here in the back room. Meeting's adjourned.